Your RTD Interactive Town Hall will begin shortly. This RTD Interactive Town Hall is currently in music hold. In a few minutes, you'll get first-hand information from RTD on changes that will transform public transportation in the Denver region. If you'd like to ask a question during tonight's event, press star 3 on your telephone keypad at any time. Please note this call...
Good evening, and thank you for joining this live virtual telephone town hall meeting hosted by the Regional Transportation District, also known as RTD. I'm Roger, and I'll be your moderator tonight as we have a conversation with RTD Director Shontel Lewis, who represents District B. District B includes Aurora within Adams County, City and County of Denver, and unincorporated Adams County line south of Denver. We also have agency staff joining us to answer your questions, and they'll introduce themselves during the call. Tonight, we will be covering several topics, including customer safety initiatives, RTD's fare study and equity analysis, current recruitment efforts, and the next steps for Reimagine RTD. This is your opportunity to share your thoughts about RTD and ask questions. If this is your first time on a virtual telephone town hall, here's how it works. To ask a question, just press star 3 on your telephone keypad, and you'll be transferred to an operator who will take down some basic information and get you in the queue. Once the operator has your information, you can listen to the conversation until it's your turn. And then when I call your name, please repeat your question for our live audience. We want to hear from as many of you as possible, so I'll ask you to be brief when it's your turn. And if you're participating online at rtd-denver.com/town hall, you can ask questions or take part in polls directly from the streaming player. Folks that are on the phone can also view the slide deck on YouTube, and if you are watching on YouTube, you can submit your questions as a comment. We want to hear from you as well. Finally, in addition to answering questions live, we'll be asking for survey questions during the call, and I'll explain that process to you later. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce District B Director Shontel Lewis. Thank you for joining us tonight, Director.
Thank you, Roger. Good evening, and thanks for joining the conversation tonight. As Roger has said, my name is Shontel Lewis, and I represent District B. I'm very excited to participate in this town hall this evening. In my role, I really focus on transit equity, defining safety, and removing barriers for folks. I'm an advocate for community leadership and believe strongly that those that utilize our services should have a role in our decision-making as an agency because they live and feel the impacts of our decisions as a board. For this reason, I'm very, very excited about our strategic direction that we are headed in with our brand new CEO. I'm excited to answer any questions and share important updates with you as well. Again, to ask a question, press star 3 or enter your questions or comment online. Roger, before we dive into our first topic, I'd love to learn a little bit about the folks who have joined us tonight. Let's ask our first survey question.
All right, Director, we'll do that. As Director Lewis just mentioned, we'd like to learn a little bit about those of you joining us tonight. It is easy to participate. All you need to do is use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response. And if you're participating online, just click or type your response. So here's that first question. How frequently do you ride RTD services? Press 1 for every day. Press 2 for once or twice a week. Press 3 for once or twice a month. Press 4 if you ride a few times per year. Press 5 if you do not currently ride with RTD. Please record your vote now. We'll share the results with you in just a moment. And again, if you have a question or comment, just press star 3 on your telephone keypad. Let's get you in line early so that we're sure to have time to get your questions. There has been a lot of news coverage about safety concerns in the Denver metro area. I'd like to ask Steve Martingano, Interim Chief of RTD's Transit Police Division, to introduce himself and talk about what RTD is doing to help improve safety on transit and at RTD stations and bus stops. Chief, go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Roger. Again, my name is Steve Martingano, and I'm the Interim Chief of Police for the RTD Transit Police Division. I've been with RTD a little over 6 years now. We have heard our customers' concerns about inappropriate behavior they are seeing around the city lately. As more and more people are utilizing transit again, whether they're coming back to the office or, just a night out on the town, sorry about that, safety and security is a top priority for RTD. Every day, RTD staff works hard to make sure customers get to their destination safely. One area of concern is unwanted activities at the transit areas, especially at Denver Union Station. So in collaboration with the City and County of Denver, RTD announced in April security enhancements to the bus concourse. The bus concourse is a terminal that's underneath the rail platforms. In the short term, lighting is being replaced to better illuminate the space. Certain entrances and exit points are being converted to emergency exits to allow for better pedestrian flow, and consistent deep cleaning is going on to make sure that the area is more comfortable for when you come and utilize our system. Again, that's short term. This is a long-term goal, and over the next 12 to 16 months, the bus concourse will be converted to a paid fare area to restrict access to only those who are using the buses for commute. This involves a redesign of the area. This project is expected to cost anywhere from $10 to $15 million. We at RTD recognize these are expensive upgrades, and under our strategic priority, financial success, RTD takes very seriously the management of all financial resources, and this project is no exception. So what RTD plans to do is reinvest funds from the return of the approximately $29 million credit risk premium, which was part of the original investment into Denver Union Station, to implement and construct design improvements to enhance the customer's experience when utilizing the station.
Director Lewis, how can customers stay up to date on these changes? That is a lot going on down there.
Yeah, it is. So RTD has launched a webpage dedicated to providing updates on the facility enhancements at DUS, our Denver Union Station. The webpage is rtd-denver.com/projects/restoring DASH DUS. Customers can also sign up for a newsletter on the website. In addition to the enhancement at Denver Union Station, RTD is making other changes to ensure customers are safe when they're traveling. And Chief, would you like to talk about those changes?
Yeah, absolutely, Director. So in March, when I became the interim police chief, for those that don't know, RTD has its own police division, and we broke our officers up into 4 sectors. One is called the Bus Impact Team, another one's the Rail Impact Team. We have a Community Engagement Officer, and we also have the Mental Health and Homeless Outreach Impact Teams. For those that don't know, RTD was the first public transportation agency in the country to hire mental health clinicians and put them in a co-responder unit where they placed them with our police officers, and they would ride throughout our district to contact individuals that are experiencing mental health episodes. We also received a federal grant where we now have a homeless outreach coordinator. We also utilize secondary employment officers from Denver, Aurora, and Thornton, and we also have a RTD contracted security provider, currently Allied Universal. Those are probably the first individuals you'll see out there on the trains and at our facilities. These partnerships and changes, along with reaching out to the local police departments, help RTD quickly respond to customer safety issues.
Chief, sometimes we get calls from customers who wonder why the commuter rail lines, which includes the A and G lines, have armed security on each train, but light rail lines do not always have an officer or private security personnel traveling. Why is that?
You know, Roger, that's a great question. The Federal Railroad Administration, also known as the FRA, requires a second crew member to be present on all of our commuter rail vehicles. That includes the A line to the airport, the B line to Westminster, the G line to Arvada, and the N line to Thornton. But there is no requirement for a second crew member to be on our light rail vehicles. While we do not have security personnel on every light rail vehicle trip, our rail impact team, as well as our security personnel, do hop on trains as well as be present on platforms, and they check fares and ensure customers are traveling safely. But really, the best tool we have is the RTD Transit Watch app. This is a free app that's available on both the Apple and Android platforms. It's easily you could just download it, and you could utilize it to allow for you to report security and safety concerns easily and discreetly. For those that are unable to download apps or don't have a smartphone, you can contact our Transit Police Division at 303-299-2911. Again, 303-299-2911. Either utilizing the app or calling will go to one of our 2 Transit Police dispatch centers that are running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What I ask is please be specific as possible when reporting a situation. Include your location, any descriptions of persons involved. And when you submit an incident report, You are helping our team resolve situations and also provide information that helps us determine where we should be focusing our resources.
Thank you, Chief. Again, you can download the Transit Watch app on both your Apple and Android smartphones. And if you're like my mom and don't have a smartphone, you can reach RTD's Transit Police at 303-299-2911. Before we get to your questions, here are the answers to our first survey question. Again, we asked, how frequently do you ride RTD services? 28% said you ride every day. That's the highest we've had on any call so far. 25% do not currently ride RTD. 22% ride a few times per year, and 14% ride once or twice a month. We appreciate our customers who choose to take transit. It's environmentally friendly and helps reduce both pollution and congestion. And for those of you who don't currently ride transit, RTD continues to really work hard to improve services. So give us a try. All right, let's get to your questions, and we're going to start out with Morgan. Go ahead, Morgan.
Yeah, so I live off of Wadsworth and Colfax. Come here, babe. And my question is, what is y'all's plan as far as the homeless down there? Because I know that it's a huge issue with that one parking garage, and I see that you guys are building another parking garage. So I'm just really curious what the plan is, because I know that they, tend to squat over there, and we get the overflow.
Morgan, that's a great question. This is Steve Martingano, the interim chief of police. So we do know that the Wadsworth station has some issues over there, just not only because of the light rail, but also there's that gas station that's right there as well, and a lot of individuals frequent that parking lot. So we have been working very, very closely with the Lakewood Police Department. Again, I had mentioned earlier we have a homeless outreach coordinator. What's really great about our homeless outreach coordinator is he actually used to be a bus operator. His name's Alton Reynolds, and he already knows the systems, which put him light years ahead of anyone that we could have imagined hiring. And he has really been focusing on certain areas, especially that Wadsworth corridor. We actually just did a joint effort with the Lakewood Police Department last Wednesday at Wadsworth Station. We made a lot of great contacts. We deterred a lot of criminal behaviors. We did make some arrests in regards to drug activity there, but we continue focusing on the homeless issue that is there. And we are working with Lakewood PD to see if they could come on board. Like I had mentioned earlier, we have Denver, Aurora, and Thornton officers. We are currently working right now to see if Lakewood police officers could work as primary employment capacity for us and assist us within the W line as well as the West Colfax bus stops.
All right. Let's go to our next question from Richard. Go ahead, Richard.
Hi there. Good evening. This question is for Director Lewis, and I've asked this to all the directors, you may know. When was the last time you rode an RTD bus or a train, and how was your experience?
Hi, Richard. Thank you so much for that question. I actually, today is Thursday, rode the train on Tuesday recently, and I take the 15 pretty often, as well as, now the 43 much more often because I live in a different area of town. And my experience is always pretty lovely. I will say for the train specifically, I really appreciate the opportunity to fly past on a train the folks who are in their vehicles alone, and I'm going through traffic and not having to sit in traffic. I really appreciate that. And for the bus, it's always nice to get a chance to connect with local folks and to thank my operators for working through what still is a pandemic. But it's always been pretty lovely.
All right. Thank you, Director. Let's hear next from Sean. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, hold on.
Sean, go ahead.
Oh, hi. So, this happened about 2 weeks ago. I was on the number 73 going southbound, And this lady got on the bus. She didn't pay her fare, and the driver did not say anything to her about not paying her fare. And then she proceeded to punch a teenage female in the head. And if it wasn't for all the passengers, she probably would have kept on punching this teenager. And she got off the bus and walked away. So the driver contacted law enforcement. So all of us was thinking it would be the Denver police, but instead it was the RTD police. My main question is like, when we have incidents like this, why isn't the local police, in this case Denver, not immediately contacted and brought out when they have the jurisdiction, at least the proper training to go searching city blocks to find a suspect who struck a person without provocation? I feel like that's just out RTD's police capabilities to handle the situation. So where's the more involvement from local police in these incidents?
Sean, this is Steve Martingano. So we do utilize Denver Police, especially in their jurisdiction. Like I said, we have secondary employment with Denver Police Department. So we actually have 2 Denver police officers that work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for RTD. They come and take our RTD police vehicles and our radios, and they try to handle calls for us. And then we also have another 2 Denver police officers that do 20 hours a week, and they focus their attention on the downtown between Civic and Union Station. So you may have seen a RTD transit police vehicle there, but it might actually have been Denver police officers. And then, what we do is, we go to tend to the victims and go to the area of the incident, and then we will radio suspect information. That's why downloading that Transit Watch app, please go ahead and do that, because if you were on that bus and you might have seen that, if you would go ahead and utilize that Transit Watch app, it'd go right to our police dispatch, and we'll get help there immediately.
Thank you, Chief. Great question so far. Thank you for that. And again, just press *3 on your telephone keypad if you have a question or comment, or submit your question online at rtd-denver.com/town hall. We're going to move next to our next topic for tonight's call, RTD's Fair Study and Equity Analysis. We have Carl Green Jr. with us tonight. Carl, would you introduce yourself and provide an update?
Yes, I'd be happy to, Roger. Thank you. So again, my name is Carl Green Jr. I'm the manager of the Transit Equity Office within the Civil Rights Division here at RTD. And I'm also serving as the Deputy Project Manager for the System-Wide Fair Study and Equity Analysis. And again, I'm glad to be here tonight to provide our community in District B with an update on our progress to date. We've heard a lot from our customers that our current fare structure is expensive and confusing to use. And one of our strategic priorities is customer excellence, where we strive to deliver consistent, high-quality customer service. The Fair Study and Equity Analysis will help us identify areas where we can improve the customer experience when taking transit. This project looks to understand customers' opinions, pain points, and preferences on our current RTD fares, as well as our past programs, and then ultimately, how can RTD improve them? To date, we've hosted 2 public meetings, including one in Spanish, as well as 3 customer feedback panels. And we've also are working with community partners to lead focus groups. And we've also conducted many interviews and work sessions with our staff. So in addition, we've also invited customers to provide feedback on the current fare structure utilizing a survey. And this survey was available in English, Spanish, Chinese, and Vietnamese. And we've received over 2,400 responses.
Carl, thank you so much for that update. Really appreciate it. Is the community engagement for the Fair Study over now? And where is RTD in the process currently?
That's an excellent question, Director Lewis. And I love that you pointed out, or the question entailed, the community engagement aspect, because this is what's top of mind for RTD. And this process is different from other fair studies that we've conducted in 2016 and 2019, where it's customer and community centric, meaning that we are focusing on our engagement with our community. And the overall project in itself will continue through 2022, where staff is expected to have a recommendation for the board of directors to review in the spring of 2023. So again, we're leading with the community and customer feedback, so there will be many opportunities for customers and community to share their ideas. For example, throughout the summer, there will be opportunities for folks to get involved. Specifically thinking about June 23rd, there will be a meeting in English, and then on June 29th in Spanish. And during these meetings, we'll be basically getting folks to get a better understanding to our conceptual fair options, as well as the trade-offs that we are considering when we're evaluating alternatives to the current fair structure. And then in the fall, we will connect again with the community with more feedback on a refined list of fair alternatives. This will most likely take place in the November timeframe. And then before any changes to our fair products will go into effect, there will be a public hearing process where the public can see the final proposed changes and offer their feedback.
I really appreciate that feedback loop and taking what the public has shared with us and showing them how we've implemented into our process. I appreciate that. Carl, can you talk more about where people can learn more information about this process?
I sure can. Customers interested in offering feedback can sign up for updates on RTD's website at www.rtd-denver.com/fair study. And as a reminder, RTD currently offers discounted fares for youth, people with disabilities, and seniors. And we also provide discounts for low-income residents as part of the LIVE program, so our low-income fare program. And information on these current fare products as well as discounts can be found on our website at www.rtd-denver.com/fares-passes/discount-fares.
All right, thank you, Carl, for that. Great information. Thank you, Director, as well. Let's take a moment to ask our second survey question. For callers, please use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response. And if you're participating online, just click or type your response. Here is that question. Do you believe that RTD fares should be more affordable, even if it results in less service? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no, and press 3 for not sure. Please record your vote. I'll share the results with you shortly, and let's get back to questions. We're going to go to Lauren next. Go ahead, Lauren. Lauren, you're live. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my question was actually related to the prior topic, but with the implementation of essentially turnstile at Union Station and kind of the crackdown on a safety and security standpoint, how are we going to balance public safety with allowing Union Station to be the, quote unquote, that is essentially living room of Denver and available to the public?
This is Director Lewis. I really appreciate you asking that question because it does require a balance to safety and also providing that space for folks to engage in. I think the approach to safety and security, one, has to be comprehensive, and we have to define what safety means and what security means, and to recognize that we can't arrest our way out of folks who are experiencing homelessness, with folks who are experiencing mental health crises, and folks that are deep into poverty. And so it really requires us to look at agencies like the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless in terms of partnerships, and to look for partnerships with the City and County of Denver and the Harm Reduction Center to ensure that what we do and as we move forward is as a comprehensive approach that is really centered in the humanity of the individuals that we are talking about. And so I really, really appreciate you asking that question.
Thank you, Director. We had a similar question from Alexandra on YouTube, so this is definitely top of mind for folks. Let's hear next from Tom. Tom, go ahead.
Good evening. I live in the northeast quadrant of the Denver Metroplex. When we go to the airport, you'd be boarding the A line at either the Peoria station or the 40th and Airport station. It seems to me that to pay $10.50 from that close proximity needs to be addressed in your fare equity study. That just seems ridiculous to be having to pay that kind of money when you're that close to the airport. 1 or 2 or maybe 3 stops from the airport itself. What is your response and commentary to that, please?
Hi, Tom. That's a great question. This is Carl, Transit Equity Manager. What I can say is, as we're moving forward with this system-wide fare study and equity analysis, there are 3 goals that we are moving forward with, and that is equity, simplicity, and affordability. And as we come up with different fare alternatives, we are looking at the trade-offs between those 3 goals with, again, as I mentioned in the previous segment, as we're taking customer and community feedback, and I'm so glad that you brought this forward tonight because I definitely jotted down the notes to bring back to the project management team. But what I can say, and it's perfect timing, we just had an internal staff meeting looking at the left and right parameters on our distance-based fares. We had a distance-based fares workshop and exploring different avenues to address, to your point, the equity component as it relates to our rail lines, our fixed route buses, and so forth. So that is something that we will definitely take into consideration as we put forth different alternatives or come up with different conceptual fare options and what is the best recipe for success as it relates to our fare structure. Because, again, this is the first of its kind where we're leading with equity. So we want to take that holistic look at assessing our fares and our past programs. So, again, thank you for that comment and question, and I encourage you to stay engaged throughout the process. Again, through the website, there's customer and community meetings coming up. But again, I jotted your question down, so hopefully we'll be able to address it throughout this study. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great questions there again. So star 3 if you'd like to get in the queue. Here are the results of our second survey question. We asked, do you believe that RTD fares should be more affordable even if it results in less service? 42% of you are not sure. It is a tough balancing act there. And 29% each, yes, and 29% no. I doubt the director or the staff are surprised that this is almost an even split, how hard it is to figure out the right way to approach this. For those of you joining us late this evening, good evening. This is a live virtual telephone town hall hosted by the Regional Transportation District. I'm Roger, your moderator, and we are having a conversation with RTD District B Director Shontel Lewis. We also have agency staff joining Director Lewis to answer your questions. And again, as a reminder, press star 3 on your telephone keypad to ask a question. We're going to go to Daphne next. Go ahead. Hi, Daphne. You're live on the phone. Go ahead. All right. We seem to not being connected to Daphne. Let's hear from Bill next. Bill, go ahead.
I live in Director Lewis district, and I ride the A-line regularly. I've been subscribed to Rider Alerts, now called Service Alerts, and I've noticed with much trepidation that there are hundreds of A-line trains that are canceled recently. Some of it is related to the new conductor role. Some of it is lack of security policemen for the train. I'm just wondering wouldn't it be better to just create a run board that RTD can make rather than having unscheduled train cancellations? I understand that there's going to be some cancellations, but there are hundreds over the course of months, and I've saved all my emails if somebody would like to see them. I'm not exaggerating.
Bill, that is a great question, and I'm going to ask Mo to come on the line and talk a little bit about this in totality, because we're going to address it later, but we'll address it now.
Certainly. Hi, my name is Mo Sullivan. I'm a senior service planner and scheduler for RTD, specifically for the East Team bus routes, but I was previously on the rail team, so I can speak to this specifically, the A-line, a little bit too. The A-line is especially tricky because it relies not only on an operator to be there for the train to run, but also that second person. And for us, that's a TSO, so Transit Security Officer. And so both people have to be available to work for that trip to run. So we're not only, relying on one person, but two. And unfortunately, with the staffing challenges we're having, either, we might have an operator that's not able to show up, or that second crew member, that security officer, that's not able to show up. And that does cause us to cancel the trip. And, there's not really a way around that, because it is an FRA requirement that we have both of those people available to work. We certainly would want to put out a schedule that is reliable, and based on the numbers that we have, both in operators and security personnel, the A-line should be somewhat reliable. However, with COVID, for example, if one person, one crew member gets sick, there is a likelihood that many on that crew, either operators or security personnel, could get sick just because of how contagious it is. So many people may have to call out. And then, we do have extra boards, so extra operators to fill those empty spots, but we're even running through that. And unfortunately, that does result in many cancellations. On the A-line specifically, well, actually all of our work, you may see several, 20 or more trips canceled a day, but that could represent just one operator or one crew member that's not showing up, because they often work anywhere from 8 to 10-hour shifts. And so, you can calculate about how many A-line trips you could do in that length of time. And yes, we certainly sympathize. We are trying to make that service more reliable. And I'm glad you're signed up for those service alerts. That certainly helps. All of our downstream systems and apps as well can help you plan around those disruptions. So our RTD trip planner will show kind of when those trips are missing. The transit app will also show when those trips are, if a trip is canceled or not. But appreciate the question, and we're definitely working on it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mo. Before we move on to our next topic, let's ask our third survey question. And that question, for those of you, again, listening on the phone, just use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response. You can also respond online or in the chat box if you're watching on YouTube. Here is the question. We ask, what factor would increase your likelihood of taking RTD services the most? Press 1 for more affordable fares. Press 2 for a system where you feel safe. Press 3 for more frequent bus and train service. And press 4 for more service coverage in your area. While you're recording your vote, I'm going to ask Director Lewis to introduce our next topic. Director, you may be muted. Well, let's talk people power. At RTD, we have a workforce of over 3,500 employees. Positions include bus and rail operators, mechanics, administrative staff, and many more. One of RTD's strategic priorities is employee ownership, through which we seek to attract and retain a highly skilled and engaged workforce. We are, after all, people who move people, and to help keep our transit system reliable, we are hiring for key positions. If you are a friend or family, if you or a friend or family member are looking for a meaningful career in public service, consider applying for a position at RTD. RTD is hiring for positions across the agency, including bus and rail operators, body shop technicians, mechanics, and many positions are eligible for a $4,000 signing bonus. Director, what are some of the benefits you would like to talk about or share for those of you considering joining the RTD team?
Yeah, sorry about that, Roger. My computer went a little haywire. I'm actually excited to talk about the new collective bargaining agreement that was signed by the Amalgamated Transit Union, ATU Local 1001, and RTD in February 2022. It offers additional benefits to employees with positions covered under the union. RTD offers competitive wages, education allowances, an excellent retirement savings plan, and paid in-house training programs, to name a few. What you may not know is RTD also offers an extensive training program where you can learn to operate a train. If you're interested in being a bus operator, we will help you get a commercial driver's license or a CDL. Individuals interested in joining RTD are encouraged to review open positions on the RTD website at www.rtd-denver.com/careers. If you don't see a position you are interested in now, check back often. We always have something new. Roger, why don't we pause for a couple of questions?
All right, let's do that. But first, I'll give you the results of our third survey question. We asked, what factor would increase your likelihood of taking RTD services the most? And 53% of you said more frequent bus and train service, so kind of overwhelming there. 20% of you said more affordable fares, and 14% of you said more service in your area. Well, let's hear next from Layla. Layla, go ahead with your question. Or Leela. I'm not sure. I may be pronouncing it wrong.
Hi, this is Leela. Yes, this is a question. Hello, Director Lewis. This is a question for Director Lewis, or pretty much anyone that can answer. There are particular areas that I am concerned about, and one of the areas is Central Park, the far end of Central Park near 31st Avenue. It connects, it used to connect with the 89 route. That route was taken away. There's affordable housing, low-income residents. There is no public transportation within close proximity. There are disabled people, seniors, disabled, school children. And my question is it any way for a bus, for you to get a bus to loop through that particular area? On one end, near the jail, it's a number 44 route. On the other end, Colfax, with the Aurora line, that would be the 15. And on the west in near Central Park Station would be the 105 Havana. They're sitting right in the back of that area, and there is no transportation within walking distance for a person that is disabled, handicapped, young children trying to get to and from school. Is it possible to get something there, a shuttle bus or something, or loop a bus around an hour to a particular time, special school trip or something?
Thank you, Leila. I'm not a service planner, but what I can tell you, I don't know if it's possible to get anything there, but what is possible is that we can give this over to staff and they can explore what that could potentially look like. It's not a yes or a no. It's more of a let's study it and see, because we're kind of on the spot, and I don't want to put the staff on the spot to say yes or no, because I'd like to manage expectations. So I will have staff take your contact information, and we can figure out what is possible. And I'm happy
Director Lewis, I appreciate you not wanting to put us all on the spot, but this is Mo Sullivan from Service Planning. And yes, I do know the route you're speaking of. We combined Route 89 with Route 34 just because Route 89 wasn't seeing a lot of ridership at the time, but we do know demographics change over time. And so that's definitely something we can look into. And I think another great opportunity for the area you provided, and kind of along the same lines of kind of the shuttle you alluded to, is as part of the Reimagine process, we're looking at flex ride services and different areas that maybe warrant that kind of service. And so one thing, starting in 2023 as part of this process, we're going to make money available for partnerships with local jurisdictions or neighborhoods or different groups to submit proposals for flex rides. So a service in that area where before we were seeing really low ridership on that fixed route, it might be more appropriate to have a flex ride in that area. So I think that might be a good opportunity in the future to look forward to. So hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. Let's go to Wendy next. Wendy, go ahead. Hello, Wendy. You are live with our audience.
It's me. I'm sorry. My question's been answered, so let's skip me. But thank you.
All right. Thank you. Daphne, I think we may have also addressed your question, but I'll bring you up in case you wanted to address something differently. Go ahead.
Actually, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. I feel like Leila, I feel like that she was speaking directly about me and my family situation. I'm disabled. I would like to work outside of my immediate neighborhood, but our bus was taken. My kids had rides to school in the morning, but they rode the bus home every day. So there were not just my kids, but other students in the building that ride the bus home every day. So I'm not sure exactly how that was considered low ridership, but after the 89 was taken, the 34 was implemented, and half the time the bus didn't come here because none of the bus drivers said that they came to my part of the neighborhood. So even with the 34 being extended, we were still stranded for hours. Sometimes would miss our last buses home because the drivers said that they didn't come to our stop at that time, even though if we called RTD, they said otherwise. So I think my main thing is I'm just looking for some type of public transportation to my neighborhood because when I call RTD, they say it's been put on a Sunday schedule. We didn't have a bus on Sunday. We had no weekend service. So I've called and I've been told the same thing several times, that it's in the Sunday schedule, and I just need a bus. I'm disabled. I can't walk. I rely on public transportation, and I've even had my kids stay with families just so they could make it to school because there's no public transportation out of the neighborhood. So that's
we
all.
appreciate your. And I don't, Director, you have anything else to add? We're people moving people, but we don't always manage to address everyone's need at the very moment, but we're trying.
Yeah, I really appreciate, Daphne, for telling us your story and your experiences. And I think at the beginning of the call, you might have heard me that I think that the folks who are most likely to feel the pain of our decision should be in our decision-making tables, and that's you, right? And so I really appreciate you sharing that story. And also, I think there's opportunity for us to have a conversation about what it could potentially look to serve you and the other members of the folks in your neighborhood as well. And so hopefully staff is taking your contact information and we can chat. And I would say for other folks who are listening, if you're consistently calling RTD and you're not getting a response, to reach out directly to your directors, because sometimes we aren't aware of the patterns that are happening, and it's helpful to raise those concerns to us.
Thank you, Director. All right, it's time to talk about Reimagine RTD, the agency's plan for the next 5 years. We've got Christine Zazueta joining us tonight. Christina, go ahead with some updates.
Hi, Roger. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Christina Zazueta, and I'm the Community Engagement Manager here at RTD. And as Roger mentioned, working with the Reimagine RTD process. It's a project that was underway about 2 years ago, actually more than that, before the pandemic, and we have adjusted along the way because things have changed for us as it has for everyone else. And so the Reimagine RTD process is a planning project in which we are looking to develop and address transit challenges. And we also want to answer the question of what's next for RTD. So, of course, some of the challenges we talked about here tonight include reductions in ridership. The results of the COVID-19 pandemic kind of edged that along, as well as limited options for increasing funding for the future and as well as our workforce. The Reimagine RTD process provides a framework for us to work from in the future, and that includes ways on which this agency can better make decisions. There are two key aspects of Reimagine RTD. One is the System Optimization Plan, which we lovingly call the SOP, and this is a redesign of RTD's services to balance the needs with the traveling public's needs, and also keeping in mind our financial realities. Then there's the mobility plan for the future, and this is the longer-term plan and strategies that we're looking at, and that's between now and the year 2050 as the region's mobility needs grow, as well as we grow as a region with the population. We are just completing the system optimization plan, which looks, again, at the near term, and that's going to happen. That's something that we're looking at within the next 5 years. The majority of the comments that we did receive for the system optimization plan include requests for additional services, and some of those exceeded the SOP resources that we do have. Other areas identified will be monitored for future consideration, so we're going to just continue to look at some of the ideas that came from Reimagine the SOP process and see where we might be able to make those happen as our resources ideally fluctuate, meaning I hope that we do get some more resources like workforce. The public and stakeholder comments were evaluated as part of this. So your comments, if you did make some earlier this year, were included in that, and we did make adjustments to the system optimization plan, which will be phased in over the next 5 years. And we're also working on the mobility plan for the future, which runs through 2050 simultaneously. In July, the RTD board will act on the final system optimization plan and determine how the agency will move forward, as well as they'll be looking to accept the recommendations from the mobility plan for the future. Roger, back to you.
Thank you. Let's go to, Kata. I'm sorry, I know that's not how you pronounce it.
That's okay, and I am very understanding of that. First, I'd like to thank you all for allowing me this opportunity to be able to be in on this particular live call. I do not ride the RTD bus myself, but as a young person, I grew up here in Colorado, but I did when I was coming about. But I have a young daughter who has just continuated yesterday, will be riding the bus to George Washington. We live within the Park Hill area. Now, going to that particular area, what made me accept to stand in with the live call was stating that the fact that there was some sort of an what types of inappropriate things or things that she should be looking at, or diverse things that she would be kind of like, facing, riding the bus. Now, for the most part, I will be trying to make sure she gets there by way of myself. But either way, I can always, we can network somewhere where she could be able to get on that RTD and get dropped off right there at George Washington, because I know that the bus lets off right in front of the school. So I understand that is the number 65. I'm not quite sure, but someone that while we were waiting for my question to be heard, they were telling me it was the number 65. So I wanted to make sure and see exactly what types of things should I be looking for her, or should she be looking for, especially when it comes to safety and security. I used to work for Denver Public Schools for about 7 years in safety and security, so we do have some concerns, and I do have a quick database. And I don't have a pen, but I do remember the number, so I would like to clarify that it is 303-299-2911. Is that correct?
That's correct. And Chief, you want to make another plug for the Transit Watch app? That may be an appropriate thing here, and just any advice that she could share with her daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, if your daughter has a smartphone and she's going to be utilizing it to go to and from school, I think the best thing is to download that TransWatch app, because it is text based, and we all know, most kids that age are better at texting than they are probably dialing a phone number. So it's text based, and it's also great for a bus, right? If you're sitting there and your daughter does happen to see something and wants to report it, being able to text it is obviously a lot better than actually saying it out loud. But I will tell you, our school trips, buses, they are utilized by many students. Our bus operators know exactly, what to also look for on those school bus trips to make sure that students aren't exposed to anything. So, RTD does a great job with that. And also, we reach out to the schools before they start. We talk to the security. Sometimes, if they have police officers in the schools as well, we work very closely with them to make sure that students are getting to and from school as safely as they can.
All right, thank
I
you.
would add.
Yeah.
I would add, as someone who utilized public transit as a teenager, and also as someone who recently graduated a teenager who utilized public transportation, I think as a mom, just reminding our students to be alert. I think there are benefits to having school trippers, right? To having our teenagers, our kiddos travel in groups and traveling in pairs, and to remind them of that as well. To download the Transit Security app, but as often as possible, is to keep her eyes open and her head on a swivel, and aware of her environment. I would say most of the time transit is safe. I've been utilizing public transportation since I was 5 years old, alone 5 years old, and I've been using it for much longer. And I've had very few instances that have occurred. But as a mom, I think it's important for you to let her know to be aware of her surroundings at all times, and to travel in packs or in groups as often as she can, because that provides some level of safety. And specifically around the safety, I think we were having conversations around DUF, and I'm speaking specifically as a mama. Her catching the 65, and I'm guessing maybe she's connecting from the 20 or the 43 or the 34, that those are straight shots. And so she'd be getting on from one bus to another bus that wouldn't be experiencing the same environment as like Civic Center Park or Denver Union Station. And so just stay alert.
Thank you. That's good advice, Director. Here is our last survey question for the evening. Again, use your telephone keypad to enter your response. How satisfied are you with RTD services overall? Press 1 for very satisfied. Press 2 for satisfied. Press 3 for somewhat dissatisfied. And press 4 for very dissatisfied. Enter your response, and we'll share it with you at the end of the call. Director, we have just a few more minutes. What else would you like to share with the audience tonight about RTD, or maybe your district specifically?
Yeah. So I wanted to provide a quick update on our transition to account-based ticketing. Over the summer, RTD will be changing our ticketing validators on buses and station platforms. Account-based ticketing, or ABT, is a ticketless way of allowing people to travel on public transportation where customers simply tap or scan a secure token, such as a smart card. Think of My Ride card, mobile device, or credit card. The new system will implement fare capping, which I'm pretty excited about, a fare policy that ensures customers always pay the best fare regardless of when or how they pay for trips. Really important for folks who don't have the monthly passes. The fare capping is important for folks. One thing that I did want to leave you with, which I'm also very excited about, is our 2021-2026 strategic plan. It's really a fundamental shift to reframe the value of transit in terms of outcomes, which I don't think we've been doing well in the past. And so RTD is really focusing on how we focus our resources and our energy in the following areas: community value, customer excellence, employee ownership, and financial success. And so I'm just really excited to see a plan that creates a singular, forward-focused vision. So that's it, Roger. That's all I wanted to share.
All right, thank you. Maybe someone, Carl or Director, could describe a little bit more about what fare capping really means.
Yeah, thanks, Carl.
Or
so,
Mo? Go ahead. Carl, go ahead.
Yes, this is Carl, RTD Transit Equity Manager. So in essence, fare capping allows our customers to pay the best fare. And as we think about fare capping, it's, again, what Director Lewis mentioned regarding account-based ticketing, the new or incoming fare collection system, which will allow the accumulation of fares for 3-hour trips purchased in a day and or month, and automatically convert them into a day and monthly passes. So in essence, thinking about our strategic plan as far as community value and customer experience, this ties directly to that because customers will be able to enjoy the benefit of period passes without having to pay the full amount up front. So as we forge ahead with this new fare collection system and this new feature of fare capping, this will be an added benefit for our customers when they utilize our services.
Terrific. All right, here are the results of our final survey question. Again, we asked, how satisfied are you with RTD's services overall? 63% said satisfied. Director, you have the most satisfied district we've had so far on all these calls. 11% said somewhat dissatisfied. Let's keep it that way. And 10% of you were very satisfied or very dissatisfied. So thank you for responding to all 4 of our survey questions. We definitely appreciate your input. We're going to take one more quick call from Gabe. Go ahead.
My question is, RTD used to service Broncos Park and Ride and used to use in-house as well as subcontractors. And what happened to that going forward?
Mo, who would like to answer? Carl, go ahead.
Yes, great. That's a great question. And just for further context for the rest of the folks on the call here, so in April of 2020, RTD implemented its pandemic service plan, and RTD has made changes since then based on available resources and the needs of customers. And then in effect, the board of directors voted to indefinitely suspend the Broncos ride in spring of 2020 due to staffing challenges and the onset of the pandemic. And as you can imagine, with limited resources, as staff develops our annual service plans or ways to increase services and so forth, what staff have to consider with limited resources and competing demands is they develop our service plans by prioritizing mobility for our essential workers and communities where ridership is high and where service is needed the most. So despite the suspension of this route, there are local routes that serve the stadiums, and customers can use the RTD Trip Planner app to find the best route to the game. So again, I implore you to utilize our services, and we have other opportunities to access the game throughout, whether it's the Broncos and so forth. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Director, we've come to the end of our hour tonight. You have some final closing remarks.
Thanks, Roger. I'd like to thank everyone for their participation this evening. You could have been anywhere else, but you decided to spend it with us, and we appreciate it. I really appreciate folks telling us about their experiences on RTD. If we don't know what you all are experiencing, how can we improve that? And so really appreciate those reflections and continue to escalate and send those messages to us because we do really learn a lot from you all. That